Hi everyone. We're all familiar with the story of the dragon and the village that has to give its young maiden for the dragon every year to devour in order that it'll leave the villagers at peace. Okay, so every year you sacrifice a dragon until somebody like St. George comes along and kills the dragon. Oh, the maidens are saved, you know, no more maidens having to be sacrificed every year to feed the dragon. Well, this is the attitude to our children at the moment on planet Earth. Okay, human beings of planet Earth are quite happy to have millions, not just one maiden out of the village, millions of children every year being sold into slavery and abuse, trafficked, prostituted, used as slave labour. This is what's happening to millions of children every year. It is a global industry. 30,000 plus children die each year in sex trafficking. 30,000 plus die out of how many million? Okay, and they're the deaths that are recognised. What about the deaths that we just don't know about because nobody knew that that trafficked baby had been removed from its mother and immediately ended up in a place like where? London, child sex capital of the world, London. Okay, so how many children and babies end up in London every year and end up dead that nobody knows about? Well, the UN knows about it, okay? The United Nations Child Protection Report for Britain for 2014 talks about the dreadful impact of child abuse in Britain, child trafficking. Thousands of children every year are trafficked into Britain. Thousands from abroad are trafficked into Britain and around Britain, and hundreds of them end up being brutally tortured in brutal pseudo so-called religious ceremonies. And we have to say so-called religious ceremonies because it isn't a religion, is it? Satanism, let's face it, it's a criminal god being worshipped by a set of criminals, people who like to abuse children. And in Britain at the moment we've got this independent inquiry into child sexual abuse going on. Why? I don't really know. It's a total waste of money, a total waste of time. I'm participating in it in the vague hope that something might be done. But at the end of the day, because crimes against children have been thoroughly studied and examined, that is how the European Union came up with these child protection directives. Because they studied the whole issue. They understand the kind of people that abuse children, group abuse of children, and these are the definitions. Okay? These are the definitions of those child protection directives that I've just scrolled through here. I'll leave you the link underneath. But basically, leave no stone unturned is their motto. If there's smoke, you go and check that there's no fire. That's their motto. According to the EU Child Protection Directives, every adult, every responsible adult has a lawful duty to report any lawful suspicions about risk for children. We have a moral and ethical and legal duty to report those crimes. Okay? Now, these aren't implemented in Britain. What the independent inquiry into child sexual abuse is going to come up with, surely it can't come up with anything better than the child protection directives by way of instantly and promptly protecting children and arresting and investigating lawful suspects. Now, that is not happening in Britain at the moment. A case, if it appears incredible, can be dismissed according to Keir Starmer's credibility clause that he implemented in 2013. Okay, that apparently, you know, children who are deemed to be at risk, children who report a crime to police about sex offences against them, even if that report is made credible with confirming medical evidence, then no, actually their crime report sounds incredible because it includes, say for example, Satanism. Okay, that somehow their crime report doesn't sound credible, so therefore the police have a legal clause by which to ignore that crime because it doesn't sound credible. Well, we can all understand instantly how that empowers any group of people who collectively have got together specifically for the so-called pleasure of abusing children. So it's easy to understand how all they need to do is to include a few skulls or whatever into the child sexual abuse, that if the child goes to the police to report it and actually it doesn't sound credible, then actually, yeah, sorry child, go away, your crime report is incredible. Yes, it is supported by medical evidence, but because your crime report's incredible, actually we'll take you off your parents and then we'll have a chat with you until you retract. And then we'll falsify the medical evidence. We'll falsify it. We'll find some other reason, a possibility. We'll find a possibility as to why you have these damages that are shown in the medical examination. Any possibility other than the crime report that you've delivered, child. Okay? And don't forget, this is a child that is being interviewed with no legal guardian. That the EU Child Protection Directives insist that every child reporting a crime to police has an independent legal guardian. Okay? I'm not talking about this crap in Scotland that's going on whereby they want to provide a guardian of professional status to every child. I'm talking about children specifically, children who report crimes to police. So please don't get this issue confused about this legal guardian crap that Britain is now trying to impose, you know, that they want every child to have some professional person who lives where, that the child's in contact with, you know, as their legal guardian. Sorry Britain, you're not going to get away with it like that. The legal guardian is for children, specifically children who are reporting crimes against themselves or other children to police. Those children deserve and need an independent legal guardian to make sure that the police do their job and investigate the crimes that the child is reporting. Now, according to the EU Child Protection Directives, the British public themselves are recognised as an authority when all other authorities have failed. So if, as a British citizen, you've got serious concerns about children and you've appealed to every single authority in the land to try and get help, and that no help has been forthcoming, then you do have a right to scream out in public. Okay, that's our freedom of expression. We have freedom to express our concerns for child welfare and child safety. We have freedom to do that. And if every single authority in Britain cannot respond to our appeals, cannot respond to the hard, solid evidence, like medical evidence, then, you know, who are we going to appeal to? Don't we need to alert the public that, look, these children are at risk because these people who have direct access to children because they work in social services or they work in the police or they're teachers or whatever, the gang or group, what members participate in that group abuse of children, then we, according to the EU Child Protection Directives, we have a lawful duty to warn the public that, look, these people are lawful suspects. We now suspect that they're covering up crimes and they're abusing their authority powers to persecute and even prosecute people who are exposing their dire levels of negligence. And negligence employed specifically to protect lawful suspects from arrest and investigation. Suspects who end up hiding behind the privacy rules of the family courts. Now, those privacy rules are for the children. They're not for the lawful suspects. And people who are suspected of trafficking children or even murdering children, okay, they have no rights of protection of privacy. They've got no place in the family courts, okay? They aren't a family, are they? People that get together to abuse children, that traffic children. They aren't. That crime does not belong in the family courts. That is a crime that belongs in the criminal courts. The suspects do not deserve privacy, do they? People who are suspected of murdering and trafficking children, they have no rights to privacy. Perhaps they're victims. Their victims have a right to privacy, yes, but not the people who are lawfully suspected and accused of those crimes. Now, how is it possible that people who are lawfully suspected of abusing children in a medically evidenced crime report, for example, you know, then how do we know that these people are innocent then? If the police just say, well, we didn't find the children's crime report credible, even though we had medical evidence and we had all these other details, we didn't find their crime report credible, so we just ignored it. Because actually it included a load of professional people as well. People that are above the law. They're above suspicion because they're a social worker, or they're a teacher, or they're a doctor, or they're a lawyer, or they're a judge, or they're a police officer. So we don't need to look at those people, because obviously any child reporting crimes by such people in such high positions, like for example Jimmy Savile or Ian Watkins, a pop star, of course he wouldn't abuse children. Anybody saying that he does is a liar. Well, the child protection directives believe the children, and the onus of proof is on suspects to prove their innocence. And that's where Britain has fallen down. Because apparently, according to Britain, feed your children to the dragon every year. Alright, a few thousand children are going to go missing every year in Britain. They're never ever going to be seen again. But that's alright. 200 babies are going to go absolutely vanish from social work records. 200 babies under the age of 1. They're going to vanish from social work records every year. Around 200. And we don't mind. We don't mind. It's all food for the dragon. You know, we'll just carry on living our lives. You know, we don't care about these things because we don't care what happens to children. Children are a minor concern. They're minors. They're less important human beings. We don't really need to focus on them as long as, you know, the BBC provides some CBC absolute garbage crap for them to watch, or, you know, as long as the manufacturer who's making some money out of them, selling them some plastic crap, or we've got this new education curriculum to ram into their brains, to de-educate them in intelligence, basically, that no, you don't solve a simple maths problem by simply adding and subtracting. You know, you go down round this long process to end up with an answer that's totally bizarre, but apparently it is the right answer because that is Common Core. So basically, to make the Common Core totally banal and insane. Well, I'm here to explain to people that no. What slays the dragon, what protects these children are these. The EU Child Protection Directives. They are what protect children. Okay? These are what protect children. Without these, there is nothing. There is nothing. You're dealing with hot air and various professionals' opinion, and when you've got professionals that are abusing children, and we know it, we know, okay, there's no getting away from the fact that child abusers include doctors, teachers, nurses, clergy, you fucking name it, they are there. So let's remove the facade of the certain people, you know, that this ridiculous thing that people still believe that child abusers are all some, you know, shady, slimy looking creatures, you know, hanging around a schoolyard or sat at home on the computer. Yes, some of them are like that. You'll find the stereotypes. But the vast majority of them, you wouldn't even believe that that person was a child abuser. You couldn't believe it if you've met that person in their professional capacity and they come across as so, oh yes, I'm a social worker. I'm an educational child psychologist. No, you don't believe that an educational child psychologist would abuse a child. But they would, and they do. And we need to ram this into the courts now, and it is time now that we stop protecting these evil people just because they have a few bits of paper after the name to say that they've had this degree in social work, or they've got this degree or master's degree or even a doctorate, because they are abusing children. And no, we're not living in a fucking fairy story where, yes, all right then, so many millions of children get trafficked every year. So many millions of children suffer sexual abuse. So, you know, so many thousands, a million a year die at the hands of abusers. So, Britain Social Services, you know, so what? 200 babies under the age of 1 go missing every year. 200 babies missing under the age of 1 from social work records. We don't care. We don't care. Really? We don't care? You don't care what's happening to the next generation? You don't care? What are you? What are you? Did you come out of a machine and get stamped on the head? Are you a human being? You need to ask yourself that. Are you a human being? If you are a human being, you will stand up for the children's rights. And if you're not a human being, you won't stand up for the children's rights. In fact, you will persecute people like me. Because I'm a threat. I'm a threat to the dragon. And where is St. Michael? Where is St. George to fight the dragon? Where is he? Haven't enough children, sons been born out of women's fannies on this planet for one of them to stand up for children's rights? One! Where are you? Not one! I'm sick to death of hearing about, oh, the problems of the world, oh, this, look what they're doing here, look what they're doing there. Everything that is happening is because you don't care about your own children. You don't care, Britain. If you cared, our children would have these. But no, instead our children haven't got these, and instead it's people like me and who are asking questions. Oh, we're the enemy. I'm a terrorist threat. Well, I am a terrorist threat to the fucking dragons of this society. You will all fall, okay? You will fall by the very sword that you've lived by, because you are evil, lying bastards, who deny justice to children in Britain, who are protecting abusers and incriminating the very people standing up for those children's rights. People who themselves have survived severe child abuse, who themselves have been denied justice. And we are expected to sit by in this world and allow this shit to continue, and not one person in Parliament can open their mouth when our police ignore a crime report, children's crime reports about child trafficking, and you ignore it, and you expect us to all say, oh, that's alright, just feed that dragon, as long as I get some donuts to stuff in my mouth, some alcohol, powders, me EastEnders, you fucking fucked up fucking bastards who can ignore this. Where is St. George? Where is he?